What's going on, everybody? It's Frito here for your Overwatch. Big patch came in today. Ashe's Deadlock Challenge, giving us free cosmetics to unlock. And Crossplay Beta is now officially live. We'll go through the ins and outs of all that, as well as cover some community news. First up, the free cosmetics. You'll need to play 27 games to unlock the Ashe Deadlock skin, as well as everything else. You used to have to only win 9 games total. Now you have to play 27, but a win will count as 2. Either way, this is more playtime required to reach the same reward. Personally, I don't mind. Any excuse to play longer, I like that. The previous version felt really easy to get, or maybe this is Blizzard trying to force extra playtime by extending the distance of the carrot that you have to unlock. Not really sure on that one. Watching Overwatch on Twitch will give you spray rewards again. 6 hours of watch time will unlock you 6 sprays. They're all cute, adorable, really good. I want them all. But I think the Confused Bob spray is going to be the most useful, as it should translate to so many Overwatch moments that you'll want to have it equipped. On the website, they also link to the recently released Deadlock Rebels novel, as well as a link to read the first chapter for free to see if you're interested. I gotta imagine that this storyline between Jesse McCree and Ashe might be a little bit spicy and give us some behind the scenes info of what was really behind that tension that showed in the McCree cinematic. Since Overwatch has overhauled their lore department, I suppose, I thought it's taken a big step forward. Whereas originally it was incredibly generic, their series of short stories and novels have been more interesting. Now, along with that comes a patch to usher in crossplay, which is going to affect you in 2 ways. One, I think, is rather uncommon. The other is going to be very common. The first is that now, because you can group up with any BattleNet player for Overwatch, no matter what the platform is, once you get in a group with a friend on another platform, you'll get into the crossplay player pool, which bases itself on PC. The downsides of this I talked about in my previous video on the subject, but you lose aim assist as well as a bunch of other changes that I'll talk about in a sec. So don't expect this to be useful for dominating with aim assist. If anything, losing it will feel quite jarring. But the second way you're going to interact with this is that if you're a console player, all console platforms automatically have crossplay enabled with each other unless you uncheck it, but I don't suggest you do that because your queue times will be way longer than before because few people are going to uncheck it. The benefit, though, is that with it enabled, your console queue times should get way better. They were starting to thin out over the past year or so and can get really drastic on a platform like the Switch at certain skill tiers. Now, even in competitive play, crossplay will be automatically enabled to play against other console players. There's no adjustments to that. So I'm really interested on this. Let me know in the comment section down below what platform you play on and if you've noticed a queue time buff due to this update. We'll want to check in again in about a week or two in order to see if things have improved. This feels like a minor update in a way, but for console players, I anticipate this might be a huge deal, especially if you're in an underpopulated area of the world on a console. Combining those player pools together, great move. Now, along with that comes a balance patch aiming to make all the balance on every platform uniform. So all AI type entities will be balanced the same as they are on PC. The first example of that is that enemy AI in the archives missions no longer do less damage, but as well, deployable or turret type kits in multiplayer will have the same patch note, no longer doing less damage for Bob. And the 2 turrets in the game, Symmetra's Sentry turret, as well as Torbjorn's turret. So keep that in mind. These items are going to be more lethal on console than you previously felt, which might cause some balancing issues, to be honest. One more change, Ana's biotic rifle darts no longer have increased projectile size on console platforms. So they'll be a bit harder to hit. And harder still, if you're cross-playing with PC, you'll lose your aim assist. So I don't even suggest you try that if you want to play Ana. So that's the major update that we've got. Uncle Aaron really sold this to us when announcing it as one of the biggest updates they've ever put together. And a bit of feedback for the new game director. I think it's important when wording things that are coming to the game that the size and scale of it, we're going to assume you're speaking in terms of impact for the game, as opposed to what he was actually saying when he said it was as big as anything they've ever done, is the amount of effort it took them in order to do. I'm sure crossplay was quite the undertaking, but as far as impact for the game, not exactly sure. We'll have to monitor if consoles feel like this saved the game for them. There's a chance for that. And this update was definitely required in order to get Overwatch towards next gen. but it just sort of leaves us current Overwatch players feeling like the new content is lacking, because it, is. Keep in mind that the devs in the recent AMA have committed to more frequent communication, which is a good thing, as well as more updates on the horizon coming soon this year. So I think it's safe to anticipate that around once a month, we'll get an update on Overwatch, either more changes to the game, or at the very least, more communication on what's going on and when to expect what. The only problem I foresee with more constant communication is that doesn't necessarily mean there's more things for them to show, because speaking more frequently might just mean smaller updates, which doesn't feel all that much better. As an example, at the Summer Games Fest, which ran alongside E3, Aaron Keller went on to the stage for 5 seconds to speak with Jeff Keighley to show off the new in-game texture models for Baptiste and Sombra. I suppose this is better than having some fully empty block at the Summer Games event, but I'll admit, Jeff Keighley, you baited me. You baited me to watch the Summer Games event. You got me. I, for one, am going to tone down my anticipation for upcoming stuff. Note as well, these screenshots are taken under different lighting conditions. They haven't changed the skin tones. It just looks different. The devs have already explained that. I will say, especially this Sombra looks like quite an improvement graphically. And this is something that I think next-gen console players either returning or coming to Overwatch for the first time will definitely appreciate this graphical update that the game is getting with the sequel. It just, yet again, doesn't do a whole lot for us now, does it? At the very least, something to look forward to. The problem for especially PC players, you want Overwatch to look better, just get a better graphics card. And it already looks great as it is. So it's not like a thing we feel we desperately need anyway. The things we need, well, we've talked about in other videos. And now we're gonna move the video on to community topics. This tweet from Tensa, who is a tier 2 pro player, resonated with a lot of Overwatch fans on Twitter, saying that Overwatch seasons are pointless and exhausting, and a better system might use the quarterly seasons of the year, including an MMR reset every year, so that playing through them feels fresh and that it's easier to look through, as opposed to, a long list of a bunch of different 2-month seasons that just act as a way to force you to place again just to get to where you were last time. It just is kind of silly, right? My opinion on MMR resets has shifted over the years, as because they balance the game so frequently, I think some sort of at least soft reset is in the cards, seeing as whatever skill rating you accomplish in one meta doesn't translate to the next meta that they're going to create by buffing and nerfing half a dozen characters. They already add a lot of chaos to that, so I think soft resets of some kind might be useful in order to mix things up accurately. The truth about MMR resets, though, is that I think a lot of lower ranked players, like medal ranked players, think it's going to help them get out of elo hell, which isn't necessarily true. In fact, it might make it harder, as you're more frequently going to be playing up against varying skill levels, and the reset will perform better for higher skill players who can stand out in those chaotic situations. Overall, in general, I think isolating players into skill brackets actually makes it harder to improve, because what tends to happen is players of like-minded skill repeat the same mistakes uniformly against each other, and then when one smurf comes in, they look like a god among golds because they know how to, let's say, regroup or take high ground. And whereas a mode like quick play, which mixes up the SRs more often feels more balanced from my point of view, because there's a better mix of knowledge and skill sets in the same lobby at the same time. Whereas, sure, you might feel better about your ranked experience in silver if you only ever play against silver players, but it doesn't actually help you improve. What often happens, and I've noticed this over years, players will just keep making the same mistakes and never get punished for them, which might feel fairer, but the point of a elo system was that it's supposed to account for different rated players going against each other anyway. And, I've said this for years, it's a controversial take. Everyone plays competitive for different reasons, but either way, this is something that they are looking at for Overwatch 2. They've discussed this in the developer AMA recently for Overwatch 2, saying although there aren't things to report yet, making seasons feel more impactful is definitely on their radar. So it'll be interesting to see how they go about addressing this issue, as well as many other for ranked that I hope they get to before 2025. To lighten things up, let's look at the Walrus King's recreation of the Anakin Skywalker meme, stating, "I'm picking Moira to heal, right?" Moira replying with a blank expression, just like Anakin, "To heal, right?" Yeah, no, don't expect any healing. Some Moira players are the embodiment of a bloodthirsty support. Another post from one Angry Goose I found quite good, seeing as it affirms my beliefs about this system, but it states people really be like, roll Q sucks, when Quick Play Classic looks like this. Screenshot taken from the Mercy player's point of view, who is attempting to solo heal a team of 5 DPS, and the enemy has 3 DPS, but at least 2 healers and a tank. From the looks of it, they're on Hanamura trying to set up a bastion without any support. Got a bunch of heroes that need a lot of healing attention in order to even function. Walking into a Junkrat spam and a shield. I mean, that's just a yikes. Listen, I know a lot of people really liked the amount of creativity and expression that the open pick format had. I do not miss it for a second. And it is for reasons like this. For Overwatch to function as a competitive game, it cannot be the case that you need 10 other things to go right just to have the basic essentials to play. We often forget how much 222 did to stabilize that, and it is a blessing that we have it. And I think 5v5 takes this philosophy a step further, as I've mentioned in recent videos. Overwatch content shout out, Garbaj made a really cool video series where, not just for Overwatch, but he recreates Overwatch as a PS1 game with that blocky texture style that you may remember if you're about as old as I am. Funnily enough, this reminds me of Quake, because this is how bad Quake 1 and 2's graphics looked. Man, does that make me nostalgic and wish that Overwatch had a graphical mod that you could play the game like this. That would actually be really cool. For, I guess, me, and maybe a handful of you. Last community post, this one is from Nateson. My good friend was on point with this tweet, responding to Play Overwatch, announcing that the crossplay beta is live. He's locked and loaded, ready to go, with Overwatch loaded up on his Game Boy Advance SP, which wins our award of the best community post of the day, the most prestigious of the made up Your Overwatch awards that I just made up right now. This post from today already has 1,300 likes at the time of recording. Well done, my friend. But that's everything for today's news roundup video. I hope you guys did enjoy it. If you did, please be sure to leave it with a like. It really does help us out and let us know that you're enjoying the content. And if you haven't already, click subscribe as well as click the bell icon to actually get notified when our videos go live. Link to the description is our Twitter, where we tweet out news, updates, and dank memes. That's been it for me. I've been Frito for your Overwatch. We'll see you guys next time.